In this video, we're going to go over how to convert decimals into fractions. One thing you need to remember is how many numbers there are after the decimal place. This only has one number after the decimal place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a fraction. I'm going to take my numbers that are after the decimal place, this 4. I'm going to put a 1 up under it. And for every number I have after the decimal place, I'm going to put a 0 behind that 1. Remember, all fractions have to be reduced. So I need to find a number that will go into both of these. 2 will go into both of these. Divide each one of those by 2. I get 2/5. 2/5 is my fraction. So remember, I'm going to take my number that's after the decimal place. I'm going to put it in the top of the fraction. I'm going to count how many numbers there are after the decimal place. That's how many zeros go behind this 1. Always reduce a fraction. Example number 2. So I'm going to go ahead and make my fraction. I'm going to look at the number I have after my decimal place, which is 4. Put a 1 up under here. I'm going to count how many numbers there are after the decimal place. 1, 2. That's how many zeros I put after that 1. 4 100ths. Or you can think about it, it's in the hundredths place. And you can put 100 up under there. Either way will work, but always reduce a fraction. I'm going to divide both the top and the bottom by 2. I'm going to get 2 in the top, 50 in the bottom. I keep dividing by 2 until I can't reduce this anymore. I'm going to divide this by 2 and this by 2, 1/25. At the beginning, I could have divided both of these by 4. That would also work. If you're unsure, use 2, 3, 5, those numbers. Keep using those numbers until you can't use it anymore. And that will also reduce that fraction. Example number 3. Again, I'm going to write my fraction. Put this number up here in the top, 105. I'm going to put a 1 in the bottom. I'm going to count how many numbers there are after the decimal place. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's how many numbers I put in the bottom, or that's how many zeros I put in the bottom. Now I'm going to use my calculator to help me on this one. I'm going to start reducing this one. I know this ends in 5 and this one ends in 0, so I'm going to start dividing the top and the bottom by 5. So 105 divided by 5 gives me 21 in the top. 1,000 divided by 5 gives me 200 in the bottom. Two numbers I know that will go into 21, that will be 3 and 7. 3 and 7 won't go into 200, so this is it reduced. 21 over 200 is the same thing as 0.105. In this example, I have a mixed number. Or I'm going to get a mixed number because this is 1.55. So the 1 goes in the front and the decimal is my fraction part. I take the number after the decimal point, put it in the top, I put a 1 in the bottom, and I count how many numbers there are after the decimal point. That's how many zeros. 2 zeros. Then I need to reduce the fraction part. Again, I could use my calculator and say each one of these divided by 5, take that, and the bottom and divide it by 5. 55 divided by 5 is 11. 100 divided by 5 is 20. 1 and 11/20 is the same thing as 1.55. Example 5. Make my fraction. When I write this number in the top, I don't have to write these zeros in front. I only write zeros behind. So these 2 zeros don't have to get written. The only thing I write up there in the top is a 2. I write a 1 in the bottom, and then I write zeros behind that 1 that correlate to how many numbers are after the decimal place. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I always have to reduce this fraction. I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 2. I'm going to get 1 in the top, 500 in the bottom. Now we're going to talk about converting fractions into decimals. To do that, I simply use my calculator. I take the top number, put it first in the calculator, and then divide it by the bottom number. And that's what that division bar means. I'm taking 3 and dividing it by 4. So 3 divided by 4 equals 0.75. That's how easy it is to take a fraction and convert it into a decimal. Let's look at our second example. This is telling me to take 2 and divide it by 3. 2 divided by 3 equals, when I get one of these repeating decimals, what I need to do is use a little bar over the number that is being repeated. Since the 6 is being repeated, I'm going to put the bar over the 6. Next, I'm going to take 7 and divide it by 11. 7 divided by 11 equals 0. Look at what's being repeated. The 6 and the 3 are being repeated. So I'm going to write 6 and 3 and put a bar over both of those numbers to show that those two numbers are the ones that are being repeated.